Some blessings come with a heavy price. She is finally one of us.
The first time Amara entered her future mother-in-law's house, she did not know that one simple mistake would cost her years of tears. She did not insult anybody. She did not raise her voice. She did not break a plate, refuse to greet, or behave like a proud girl from a wealthy home. All she did was sit down. But in Mrs. Cecilia Okafor's heart, that chair became a crime scene. Before we continue, if you are new on my channel, please comment where you are listening from, like this video, subscribe to my channel, and watch the story to the end. Share your thoughts about this story on the comment section below. Let's continue. The house was not poor. Nothing about it even whispered struggle. Mrs. Okafor lived in a clean, tasteful bungalow in GRA, Enugu, the kind of house built by a careful woman who liked comfort but hated unnecessary noise. The sitting room had polished wooden floors, cream curtains, framed family portraits, and a glass center table that looked like it had never carried dust for more than 5 minutes. There were fresh flowers in a vase, a quiet security man at the gate, and 2 domestic staff who moved around the house with the silent discipline of people who knew their madam did not tolerate carelessness. It was not a mansion like the houses Kelechi had in Lagos and Abuja, but it was not ordinary either. It was peaceful, respectable, and well-kept. Mrs. Okafor liked it that way. "My children can live in their glass houses if they want," she often said. "Me, I like my peace." But peace was not the same as softness. And everybody who knew her knew that Cecilia Okafor's smile could welcome you while her heart judged you. Kelechi drove Amara there himself that Saturday afternoon in a black Range Rover. He had been excited all morning, teasing her because she had changed outfits 3 times before they left the hotel. "Babe, you are meeting my mother, not the president," he said. Amara looked at him from the passenger seat. "To you, maybe. To me, this is worse than meeting the president." He laughed. "My mother is not that scary." Amara gave him a look. Every man says that until his mother starts looking at the woman like she came to steal land. Kelechi laughed again and reached for her hand. "She will love you." Amara wanted to believe him. She came from a comfortable family herself. Her father was a retired judge in Port Harcourt. Her mother owned a chain of pharmacies, and Amara had never been raised to beg for space in any room. But love had a way of making even a confident woman nervous. She was not afraid because she felt beneath Kelechi's family. She was afraid because she loved him, and she understood what mothers could do when they believed another woman had taken their place. When they entered the compound, Mrs. Okafor was standing on the veranda. She wore a simple lace blouse and wrapper, nothing loud, no excessive jewelry, just small gold earrings and a neat head tie. Her skin was smooth for her age, her posture straight, and her eyes sharp enough to notice the price of a person's shoes and the weakness in their voice at the same time. Kelechi stepped out first. "Mama!" He hugged her. "My son," she said, patting his back. Then her eyes moved to Amara. The air changed. Amara stepped forward, smiled, and bent slightly. "Good afternoon, Ma." Mrs. Okafor looked at her, from her braids to her sandals. Not with open hatred. That would have been easier. She looked at her with careful measurements, the way a woman looks at fabric before deciding whether it is original or imitation. "So this is Amara," she said. "Yes, Mama," Kelechi replied quickly. "Amara Nwosu." Amara smiled again. "It's a pleasure to meet you, Ma." Mrs. Okafor's lips curved. "Welcome, my daughter." The word daughter sounded warm, but Amara felt no heat inside it. They entered the sitting room. Kelechi was still talking, trying to fill every silence before it became dangerous. "Mama, I told you she is an architect. She designed that private estate in Lekki I showed you." Mrs. Okafor nodded. "Good. Educated women are good, as long as education does not remove home training." Amara's smile shook slightly. Kelechi pretended not to hear the second part. "Babe, sit. Let me get you something cold." He pointed to a chair near the center table. Amara sat. That was the moment everything began. Mrs. Okafor was standing near the hallway that led to the kitchen. The house was full of quiet movement because lunch was being prepared. Amara could smell fisherman soup, fried plantain, and spices. She heard plates being arranged and someone giving instructions in a low voice. She wanted to help. She even almost stood up. But she remembered what her mother had told her before the trip. Do not enter another woman's kitchen unless she invites you. Some women are particular about their kitchen. Be respectful. Observe first. So Amara observed. She sat upright, handbag on her lap, legs together, eyes alert, ready to be useful if called. But Mrs. Okafor did not see a respectful young woman waiting for permission. She saw a woman who had entered her house to marry her only son and sat like a guest while food was being prepared. Kelechi returned with a glass of cold Chapman. Here, babe. Thank you, Amara said. Mrs. Okafor watched Amara collect the glass with two hands. Polite, yes, but still seated, still untouched by kitchen heat, still looking fresh while other women worked. Mrs. Okafor's daughter, Ifeoma, came in from the kitchen. She was older than Kelechi, stylish, calm, and observant. She smiled immediately when she saw Amara. You must be the famous Amara. Amara stood quickly. Good afternoon. Please sit. I'm not your mother-in-law. Ifeoma laughed. I'm Ife. Amara relaxed a little. Nice to meet you. Ifeoma sat beside her. Kelechi has talked about you so much, I feel like I already know you. Kelechi grinned. Good things, I hope. Mostly annoying things, Ifeoma teased. For a few minutes, Amara felt safe. Ifeoma's warmth made the room breathe again. Then Mrs. Okafor spoke from the doorway. Ife, leave her. Let her rest. Some girls are not used to kitchen work. The words fell gently, but everybody heard the knife inside them. Amara's face changed. Kelechi turned. Mama, Mrs. Okafor widened her eyes. What did I say? You know how it sounded. I said she should rest. Is rest now an insult? Amara stood quickly, her heart beating fast. Ma, please, I'm sorry. I didn't know if I should come in. I didn't want to enter your kitchen without permission. Mrs. Okafor smiled. My kitchen is not a shrine, my dear. It does not bite. Amara swallowed. I can come and help now. No need. Mrs. Okafor lifted one hand. The food is almost ready. Sit down and enjoy. After all, you are our guest. The way she said guest made it sound like stranger. Amara sat back slowly, but shame had already entered her body. She could feel it under her skin. Kelechi came to sit beside her. Don't mind, Mama, he whispered. But the damage had been done. Lunch was served in the dining room, a beautiful space with a long table that could seat 12. The plates were expensive. The food was rich. There was no lack anywhere. But Amara could barely swallow. Mrs. Okafor sat at the head of the table. My son, she said halfway through the meal, marriage is not fine car and fine English matter. Kelechi sighed. Mama, please. I am only advising you. These days, many women know how to design houses, but cannot build homes. Amara's hand froze. Ifeoma looked at her mother sharply. Mama? Mrs. Okafor ignored her. In our time, a woman entering a man's family knew that humility came first. Before you even ask her name, she has entered kitchen, greeted elders, helped with food, carried tray. That was how you knew she had respect. Kelechi's voice hardened. Mama, Amara respects you. Mrs. Okafor looked at him and smiled. Already? One word. But he said everything. Already you are defending her. Already she has entered your head. Already I am losing my son. Amara wanted to disappear. After lunch, she followed Ifeoma to the kitchen, despite Mrs. Okafor's protests. Please let me help with the dishes, Amara said. The kitchen was large and modern, with granite counters, double sinks, and stainless steel appliances. A woman in uniform was already rinsing plates, but Amara collected a sponge from her gently. Ifeoma watched her for a moment. You didn't do anything wrong, she said quietly. Amara looked down at the plate in her hand. It doesn't feel like that. My mother likes testing people. I failed? Ifeoma hesitated. That hesitation frightened Amara more than any answer. Finally, Ifeoma said, just be careful. Mama does not easily forget small things. Amara gave a nervous laugh. But this is too small. Ifeoma looked toward the kitchen door. In this house, small things can become family history. When Kelechi drove Amara back to her hotel that evening, he held her hand the whole way. "I'm sorry," he said. "She doesn't like me. She doesn't know you yet. That is different from not liking me." He exhaled. "Amara, my mother can be dramatic, but she has a good heart." Amara looked out the window. That sentence would later become one of the most painful lies she ever accepted. Back in the GRA bungalow, Mrs. Okafor stood in her kitchen after everybody had gone to their rooms. The domestic staff had cleaned everything. The counter shone, the air smelled of lemon soap and dried crayfish. There was nothing left to do, but Mrs. Okafor remained there, staring at the chair Amara had first sat on through the open doorway. Ifeoma entered quietly. "Mama?" Mrs. Okafor did not turn. "Mama, that girl was only being respectful. She didn't want to overstep." "Respectful?" Mrs. Okafor laughed softly. "A woman who wants to marry my son entered my house and sat like a madam while I was cooking. She is not used to your ways yet. She had better learn before she enters this family." Ifeoma folded her arms. "You are taking this too far." Mrs. Okafor turned then. Her face was calm, but her eyes were cold. "Ife, when a woman shows you who she is, from the first day, believe her." "Mama, it was one visit. One visit is enough. Pride does not need two legs to enter a house." Ifeoma stared at her mother. "What exactly are you saying?" Mrs. Okafor walked to the sink and washed her hands slowly, even though they were already clean. "I am saying my son will marry who he wants." Ifeoma relaxed a little, but then her mother added, "And the woman he marries will learn who owns the gate of this family." Ifeoma's chest tightened. "Mama, don't do anything you will regret." Mrs. Okafor dried her hands with a white towel. "Regret is for people who act without reason." Then she looked again toward the sitting room. "The day she sat in my house like a queen, she planted something. Let her come and harvest it." Ifeoma said nothing. Outside, Kelechi's Range Rover had already disappeared from the compound. Inside, Amara was telling herself that everything would be fine. But in Mrs. Okafor's kitchen, a mother had already turned one innocent mistake into a war, and Amara did not even know the battle had started. The most dangerous thing Mrs. Okafor ever did was not shouting at Amara, it was loving her in public. After the kitchen incident, Amara expected open coldness. She expected awkward visits, forced greetings, uncomfortable silence, maybe even direct warnings from Kelechi's relatives. But Mrs. Okafor did the opposite. She became sweet, not ordinary sweet, almost too sweet. She called Amara every Friday evening. "My daughter, how was work?" She sent her fresh ugu, smoked catfish, and expensive lace materials through Kelechi. She invited her for family dinners and introduced her to guests with a proud smile. "This is the woman my son wants to marry. She is an architect, very brilliant." At first, Amara did not trust it, but after a while her heart softened. Nobody wants to believe that a person smiling at them is sharpening a knife behind their back, especially not the mother of the man they love. Kelechi noticed the change too. "See?" he said one evening while they sat at a rooftop restaurant in Victoria Island. "I told you Mama just needed time." Amara stirred her drink slowly. "I hope so." He reached across the table and touched her hand. "She likes you." Amara looked at him. "Do you really believe that? I know my mother." "No," Amara thought later. That was the problem. Kelechi knew the mother who raised him. He did not know the woman who felt replaced by his wife. Their engagement was not small. The Okafors were not people who did things quietly when it involved their family name. Kelechi was the managing director of one arm of Okafor Holdings, a company built from logistics, real estate, and oil service contracts. His elder sister, Ifeoma, owned a luxury events company. Their late father's name still opened doors in government offices and boardrooms. Amara's family was equally respected. Her father, Justice Nwosu, carried himself with the calm authority of a man who had spent years listening before speaking. Her mother, Mrs. Nwosu, was polished, prayerful, and protective of her children without being loud. So when both families met formally, everything looked perfect. There was champagne, there were gifts, there were photographers, There were uncles who spoke big English, and aunties who measured people's jewelry with their eyes while pretending to admire the decor. Mrs. Okafor played her role beautifully. She wore navy blue lace and pearls, not too much, just enough to look elegant. She hugged Amara's mother, praised Justice Nwosu, and told everyone who cared to listen that she was gaining a daughter, not losing a son. When Amara knelt to greet her, Mrs. Okafor placed both hands on her head. "My daughter, you will bring joy to this family." Everybody smiled. Amara almost cried. Only Fioma did not smile fully. She stood near the staircase, watching her mother too closely. She had grown up seeing that exact expression on Mrs. Okafor's face. It was the expression she used when visitors were in the house, and she wanted everyone to believe all was well. Later that evening, Ifeoma found Amara alone in the restroom corridor, adjusting her jelly in the mirror. "You look beautiful," Ifeoma said. Amara turned, smiling. "Thank you. Your mother has been so kind today." Ifeoma's smile faded a little. "My mother knows how to behave when people are watching." Amara's fingers paused on the jelly. "What do you mean?" Ifeoma stepped closer and lowered her voice. "Amara, I'm not trying to scare you. I just want you to be wise." "About what?" "About Mama." Amara's chest tightened. Did she say something? Ifeoma looked toward the hallway before answering. "No, that is what worries me." Amara did not understand. Ifeoma continued, "Mama is not the type to forget an insult, even when the insult exists only in her mind." "The kitchen thing?" Ifeoma nodded. "But she has been nice to me." "Yes, and maybe I am wrong." Ifeoma touched her arm gently. "But don't ignore your spirit when it warns you." Before Amara could respond, someone called from the hall. "Bride-to-be, they are looking for you." Amara turned instinctively. When she looked back, Ifeoma had already stepped away, her warning hanging in the air like perfume that refused to fade. That same night, Mrs. Okafor sat alone in her bedroom after the guests had left. Her room was neat, spacious, and calm. There was a large bed with white sheets, a wall-mounted television, a small prayer altar with a Bible, and framed photos of her children. She had no need to live like a queen before anybody. Her son had offered to buy her a mansion in Banana Island, another in Maitama, and even one abroad, but she always refused. "I am not suffering here," she would say. "I have everything I need," and she did. Comfort, respect, money when she wanted it, staff, a driver. But what she did not have anymore was control over Kelechi's heart. That was what pained her. She opened her wardrobe and brought out a small scarf. It was Amara's scarf. A silk scarf Amara had forgotten on her first visit, folded neatly and kept inside a nylon bag. Mrs. Okafor had seen it that day, after Amara left. She could have called Kelechi to return it. She did not. She held the scarf now and stared at it. "Fine girl," she whispered. "You think marriage is by fine face." Her phone rang. The caller ID showed no name, only a number she had saved years ago and later deleted, even though she still knew it by heart. She answered. A woman's voice came through, low and rough. "You are ready?" Mrs. Okafor looked at the locked bedroom door. "Yes." "You are sure?" Mrs. Okafor's jaw tightened. "Do not ask me that again." The woman chuckled softly. "People like you always come angry. Later, when tears start, they remember God. I said I am ready. What do you want done?" Mrs. Okafor looked at the scarf again. "I want her womb to remain quiet." There was silence on the line. Then the woman asked, "Because of your son?" "Because of respect." The woman laughed once. "Respect?" "She entered my house and sat while I cooked. She showed me her heart from day one. And for that you want to close her joy?" Mrs. Okafor's voice became cold. "A woman who cannot bend before her husband's mother should not carry that mother's grandchild." Then, quietly, "Bring what belongs to her." Mrs. Okafor ended the call. The next afternoon, she told everyone she was going for a women's fellowship planning meeting. She dressed simply in a cotton dress, carried a small handbag, and told her driver she would call him when she was ready. Instead of going to church, she entered a waiting car outside the estate gate. The journey took her to the edge of town, not into a poor village or some dramatic forest, but to a quiet old compound behind a row of shops. The woman who lived there was known by different names depending on who was speaking. Some called her a spiritual consultant, some called her a prayer woman, some called her a native woman. Mrs. Okafor did not care about titles. She cared about results. Inside the woman's back room, the air smelled of incense, dried herbs, and something metallic. Mrs. Okafor sat on a wooden chair with her handbag on her lap. She looked out of place there, elegant and composed, like a church matron waiting for a committee meeting. The woman examined Amara's scarf and the engagement photo Mrs. Okafor had brought. "She is innocent," the woman said. Mrs. Okafor's eyes narrowed. "Innocent people do not disrespect elders." The woman looked up slowly. "Madam, be careful. Small offense can open big darkness in your own heart. I did not come for advice. You came for wickedness." Mrs. Okafor stood. "If you cannot do it, say so." The woman smiled. "I did not say I cannot." What happened after that, Mrs. Okafor never repeated to anybody. She only remembered the woman's last warning. What is tied by anger can be loosened by truth. If truth enters this matter, your own mouth may expose you. Mrs. Okafor hissed. "My mouth is not a child." Weeks later, the traditional wedding arrived. It was held in Amara's family compound in Port Harcourt, but it looked like something from a magazine. The canopies were white and gold. The floral arrangements were fresh. The caterers were uniformed. Live High Life music floated through the compound. Guests arrived in convoys, the women shining in lace, the men smelling of cologne and importance. Amara was breathtaking in wine-colored George wrapper, coral beads, and a smile that kept fighting tears. When the time came for her to kneel before Mrs. Okafor, the crowd became emotional. "Bless your daughter," one auntie shouted. "Pray for her womb," another laughed. Mrs. Okafor stood graceful and composed. Amara knelt with her head bowed. Kelechi stood beside her, glowing with happiness. Mrs. Okafor placed her right hand on Amara's head. "My daughter," she said loudly, "as you enter my family, may peace follow you." "Amen," the crowd answered. "May your husband love you." "Amen." "May your home be fruitful." "Amen." Amara's eyes filled with tears. Then Mrs. Okafor bent as if to kiss her forehead. To everyone watching, it was a tender moment between mother and daughter-in-law. But her lips stopped near Amara's ear. Her voice was soft enough for only Amara to hear. "You sat in my house like a queen. Let us see how you will sit in marriage without a child." Amara went cold. For a second, the music disappeared. The crowd disappeared. Even Kelechi disappeared. All she could hear was that sentence repeating inside her skull. "Let us see how you will sit in marriage without a child." "Smile," the photographer shouted. "Bride, smile." Mrs. Okafor straightened and smiled for the camera. Amara's lips moved, but her face had lost color. Kelechi leaned toward her. "Babe, are you okay?" Amara looked up at his mother. Mrs. Okafor was clapping with the crowd, her face full of joy. Amara whispered, "Yes," but she was not okay. And across the compound, Ifeoma had seen everything. She had not heard the words, but she had seen Amara's face change. And in that moment, Ifeoma knew that whatever her mother had hidden behind her public blessing had finally touched the bride. For the first 3 months of their marriage, Amara forgot to be afraid. That was how sweet it was. Kelechi did not marry her and hide her in one corner of his life. He showed her off. He took her to dinners, board events, charity functions, family gatherings, and Sunday service. He introduced her as my wife, with the pride of a man who could not believe he had convinced such a woman to choose him. They moved into his penthouse in Ikoyi, a beautiful apartment with floor-to-ceiling windows, a private elevator, a chef's kitchen, and a balcony that looked over water and lights. The house had staff, but Amara still liked cooking for Kelechi when she could, not because she had to prove anything, but because love sometimes made ordinary things feel sacred. She would stand in that expensive kitchen barefoot, stirring offensala or seafood okra, while music played from the living room. Kelechi would come in behind her, wrap his arms around her waist, and say, "See my architect wife turning soup like village woman." She would laugh and push him away with her elbow. "Leave me, food critic. Food critic that paid bride price. You paid bride price, not cooking subscription." They were happy, genuinely happy, and because they were wealthy enough to avoid many pressures that broke other homes, Amara believed love would protect them. They had no rent problem, no transport problem, no money fights, no in-law accommodation issue, no struggle over who would pay for hospital bills or family events. But some problems do not need poverty to enter a house. Some problems enter through people. The first time Amara's period came after the wedding, she was not worried. She simply sighed, disposed of the pad wrapper, and told herself it was too early. The second month, she felt a pinch of disappointment. By the third month, she bought a pregnancy test from a private pharmacy and used it before dawn. One line appeared. She stared at it for almost 10 minutes. Kelechi was still sleeping when she wrapped the test in tissue and pushed it deep into the bin. That morning, during breakfast, he noticed she was quiet. "You okay?" "Yes." He looked at her over his coffee mug. "Amara." She smiled weakly. "My period came." He blinked, then reached across the table and held her hand. "Babe, we just got married." "I know. So why do you look like someone failed Wyke?" She laughed despite herself. He squeezed her fingers. "Listen to me. I married you. Not a calendar, not an ovulation app, not pressure." Tears came to her eyes. "I want children with you, and we will have them. You don't know that. I know I love you. That one is enough for today." For a while, it was enough. But family had a way of turning tomorrow's fear into today's shame. Mrs. Okafor waited 6 months before she started. She did not begin loudly. Loudness would have made Kelechi defensive. She began like a concerned mother. "My daughter," she said one Sunday after lunch at her GRA bungalow, "you are looking fresh." Amara smiled. "Thank you, Ma. Too fresh even." Kelechi looked up from his plate. "Mama," Mrs. Okafor laughed softly. "What?" "I said she is fresh. Is freshness now a crime?" Ifeoma, who was seated opposite Amara, stopped eating. Mrs. Okafor turned back to Amara. "Hope you people are not postponing children because of work?" Amara's smile faded. "No, Ma. These career women sometimes forget time is not waiting." Kelechi dropped his fork. "Mama, please, I am not insulting anybody. I am advising. A woman can design 10 estates, but her own home must not be empty." The dining room went silent. The food was rich. The table was beautiful. Everyone was well dressed. There was chilled wine, polished silverware, and quiet staff waiting near the kitchen door. But Amara felt as if she had been stripped in a marketplace. She looked down at her plate. Kelechi's voice came lower this time. "Mama, don't talk to my wife like that." Mrs. Okafor smiled. "Your wife? Good. I am happy you remember." Then remind her that wives become mothers. Amara excused herself before her tears could fall into the soup. In the guest bathroom, she gripped the sink and stared at herself in the mirror. She looked expensive. Perfect hair, diamond earrings, soft makeup, a silk dress Kelechi had bought in Dubai. But shame does not care what a woman is wearing, it will still find her skin. When she returned to the table, Mrs. Okafor behaved as if nothing had happened. She even packed food for them to take home. "My daughter, eat well. Your body needs strength." Amara collected the cooler with both hands. "Thank you, Ma." On the drive back to Ikoyi, Kelechi apologized. "I'm sorry." Amara stared ahead. "You always say sorry after she wounds me." He sighed. I spoke up. "Yes," after she finished. "That is not fair." Amara turned to him. "Is what she said fair?" Kelechi said nothing. That silence hurt more than any argument. By the 9th month, the whispers had spread. At a wedding in Abuja, One of Kelechi's aunties hugged Amara and pressed her stomach playfully. Fine girl, give us twins now. What are you waiting for? At church Thanksgiving, another woman said, "This your flat tummy is too much. Release it small." At a family dinner, someone joked that Kelechi was enjoying honeymoon too much and forgetting family name. Everybody laughed. Amara smiled. Then she went home and cried in the shower. Kelechi found her sitting on the bathroom floor, wrapped in a towel. He knelt immediately. "Babe, talk to me." She wiped her face. "I went to see Dr. Bakari." His expression shifted. "When?" "Yesterday." "Why didn't you tell me?" "Because I wanted to know if something was wrong with me before everybody helped me decide." He sat back slowly. "And?" She said, "Everything looks normal. She wants both of us to do more tests." Kelechi looked away. Amara watched him. "What?" "Nothing, Kelechi." "I said nothing. You don't want to go." "I didn't say that. But your face said it." He stood and walked to the sink. "Amara, I just don't like this thing. The pressure, the hospitals, the way everybody is making it look like our marriage is an exam." She laughed bitterly. "Interesting, because the exam is on my body, but suddenly you are tired of the classroom." He turned. "That is not what I meant." "Then go for the test." He rubbed his forehead. "I will." "When?" "Soon." Soon became 2 weeks. 2 weeks became 1 month. 1 month became another excuse. Work, travel, meetings, stress. The more he delayed, the more alone Amara felt. Then Mrs. Okafor increased her performance. She began calling Amara directly. "My daughter, did your monthly visitor come again?" Amara would freeze. "Ma? Your period. Did it come?" The first time, Amara was too shocked to respond properly. "Yes, ma." Mrs. Okafor sighed deeply, like a woman carrying another person's cross. It is well." The second time, Amara ignored the question. The third time, Mrs. Okafor called Kelechi. "Your wife no longer picks my calls well." "Mama, maybe she is busy." "Busy doing what? Is she busier than women who have children and still run companies?" Kelechi closed his eyes. "Mama, don't mama me. I am worried. I need grandchildren, while I can still carry them." "You are not old. Death does not wait for old age." He hated when she said things like that. She knew. One Saturday morning, Mrs. Okafor arrived at their Ikoyi apartment unannounced. She came with her driver, 2 coolers of food, a basket of fruits, and a small gift bag. Amara opened the door in a simple linen house dress. "Mama, good morning." Mrs. Okafor kissed the air beside her cheek. "My daughter, you are glowing." "Thank you, Ma. We didn't know you were coming." Must a mother book appointment to see her son? Kelechi came from the study. "Mama, you should have called." Mrs. Okafor laughed. "See these children. Everything is appointment." Even family, she entered and looked around the apartments. The place was spotless, fresh flowers, art on the walls, expensive furniture, nothing to criticize. So she found something else. "My daughter," she said, lowering herself onto the sofa. "This house is too quiet." Amara's stomach tightened. Kelechi's face changed. "Mama, no, it is true. Big house, fine house, but no child running around, no toys, no noise. It is like hotel." Amara stood still. Mrs. Okafor opened the gift bag and brought out a bottle wrapped in white cloth. "I brought something for you." Amara looked at it. "What is it, Ma?" "Something to cleanse the body, very good. A woman from our church recommended it." Kelechi took one step forward. "Mama, we don't need that." Mrs. Okafor looked at him. "You don't need child." "That is not what I said." "Then don't block help." Amara's voice was quiet. "Ma, I am seeing a doctor." Mrs. Okafor laughed softly. "Doctor did not create womb." The sentence entered Amara like cold water. Kelechi collected the bottle and placed it on the table. "We'll look at it later." Mrs. Okafor smiled. Of course. But her eyes were on Amara. That afternoon, she insisted on cooking, even though they had a chef. Even though Amara said food was already prepared, even though Kelechi told her to rest, Mrs. Okafor entered the kitchen, tied an apron over her lace dress, and began moving around like a woman reclaiming territory. Amara followed her. "Ma, please let me help." Mrs. Okafor turned. "Now you want to help." The words landed softly, but Amara understood immediately. The first visit, the kitchen, the chair. All this time, the woman had not forgotten. Amara's voice trembled. Ma, I didn't mean any disrespect that day. Mrs. Okafor's face changed for only a second, then recovered. What day? Amara stared at her. Mrs. Okafor smiled. My daughter, don't carry unnecessary guilt. If your heart is clean, why are you explaining? Amara stepped back. Something was wrong. Not just mother-in-law pressure. Not just fertility anxiety. Something deeper. That night, after Mrs. Okafor left, Amara found the bottle still on the table. She picked it up and noticed a faint smell through the cloth. Not herbs, not church anointing oil, something bitter, something old. Kelechi, she called. He came out of the bedroom. What? She held up the bottle. Throw this away. He took it from her. I already told you not to drink it. That is not enough. Throw it away, he sighed. Okay. But when he carried it toward the kitchen bin, his phone rang. A business call. He dropped the bottle on the counter and walked away. Amara stood there, staring at it. Then her phone vibrated. A message from an unknown number. No greeting, no name, just one line. Do not drink anything your mother-in-law gives you. Ask her what she did with your scarf. Amara read the message 3 times before her hands started shaking. Do not drink anything your mother-in-law gives you. Ask her what she did with your scarf. At first, she thought it was a prank, a cruel one. The kind of message someone sent when they wanted to scatter a marriage, plant suspicion, and sit somewhere enjoying the damage. She looked at the number again. No display picture, no name, no previous chat history, just 11 digits and one sentence that made the expensive kitchen around her suddenly feel unsafe. Her scarf. Which scarf? Amara had many scarves. Silk scarves, chiffon scarves, head scarves she used when traveling, designer scarves Kelechi had bought for her during a work trip to Milan, church scarves, casual scarves. The word should not have meant anything, but somehow it did. A memory came quietly at first, then grew sharper. The first visits, Mrs. Okafor's sitting room, the brown chair, the shame at the dining table, the kitchen, the silent drive back to the hotel. That day, Amara had worn a peach silk scarf tied loosely around her neck. She remembered removing it in the car because she was sweating from anxiety. She remembered carrying it into the house. She remembered looking for it the next morning and telling herself she must have misplaced it. Had she forgotten it there? Her stomach turned. Kelechi. Her voice came out louder than she intended. From the bedroom, Kelechi called back. 1 minute. No. Come now. Something in her voice must have reached him because he appeared almost immediately, phone still in his hand, business call forgotten. What happened? Amara showed him the message. He read it. His face changed, but not the way she expected. Not shock, not fear, more like irritation mixed with discomfort. Who sent this? That is what I want to know. He looked at the number again. Do you know it? No. Then why are you taking it seriously? Amara stared at him. Kelechi, did you not see what the message said? I saw it. And anybody can type anything. She laughed once, but there was no humor in it. So your mother brings a strange bottle to our house. Then a strange number warns me not to drink it and asks about a scarf I forgot in your mother's house years ago. And your first reaction is, anybody can type anything. Amara, calm down. That sentence almost broke something in her. Don't tell me to calm down. Kelechi rubbed his forehead. I'm not dismissing you. You are. I am trying to be reasonable. No, you are trying to protect your mother before you even know what she did. The words entered the room like a slap. Kelechi's jaw tightened. My mother is not a witch, Amara. I did not call her a witch. You didn't have to. Amara stepped back, hurt flashing across her face. So I'm the problem now? I didn't say that. You never say it. You just make me feel it. For a few seconds, neither of them spoke. The city lights beyond the window glittered beautifully, as if Lagos itself was mocking them. Their penthouse was peaceful on the outside, scented with fresh flowers and expensive candles, but inside, Amara felt as if an invisible hand had entered the marriage and was rearranging everything. Kelechi finally sighed. Okay, let's think. Who would have your number and know about the scarf? Amara's eyes narrowed. So now, the scarf exists. I'm asking, I don't know who knows. Maybe someone in your mother's house. Could be staff. Which staff? I don't know. Mama has had different domestic staff over the years. Amara picked up the bottle from the counter. What about this? Throw it away, you throw it away. Kelechi took it from her, walked to the trash bin, and dropped it inside. Amara watched him. That is not enough. He turned. What else do you want me to do? Burn it. I want you to ask your mother about my scarf. He went still. Amara, there it is. What? That hesitation, because you are asking me to call my mother and accuse her based on an anonymous text. I'm asking you to ask a question. And if she feels insulted, Amara's eyes filled with tears. I have been insulted for almost 1 year. Kelechi looked away. That night, sleep did not come easily. Amara lay on her side of the bed, eyes open, listening to the quiet hum of the air conditioner. Kelechi's breathing was steady beside her, but she knew he was awake too. They were both pretending, the way couples pretend when love is still there, but fear has entered the room. Around 2:17 a.m., her phone vibrated again. She grabbed it so quickly Kelechi turned. Another message. She kept it, she used it. I saw it before I left that house. Amara sat up slowly. Kelechi turned on the bedside lamp. What is it? She showed him. This time even he could not hide his reaction. Before I left that house, Amara whispered. Who left your mother's house? Kelechi took the phone from her and called the number immediately. It rang. Once, twice, then the line went dead. He called again, switched off. Amara covered her mouth. Kelechi, somebody knows something. He stood and began pacing. This doesn't make sense. It makes sense to me. He stopped. What is that supposed to mean? It means your mother has never liked me. From the first day. She whispered something to me at our traditional wedding. Kelechi frowned. What? Amara looked at him. She had never told him, not fully. She had carried those words alone because she had been afraid of sounding dramatic on a day everybody called blessed. She said, You sat in my house like a queen. Let us see how you will sit in marriage without a child. Kelechi's face emptied. For a moment he looked like a boy whose mother had just been accused of murder. No, she said it. No. Amara, maybe you misunderstood. Amara stood from the bed. Kelechi, I know what I heard. My mother would not say that on our wedding day. She did. She blessed you in front of everyone. Yes, in front of everyone. He stared at her, struggling. The truth was standing before him, but blood was pulling him backward. Amara saw the fight inside him and felt tired in a way sleep could not cure. You see why I didn't tell you? His voice dropped. Why didn't you? Because I knew you would do exactly this. He sat on the edge of the bed and put his head in his hands. I don't know what to think. For once, think about me. That sentence stayed in the air until morning. By 7 a.m., Amara had already called her mother. Mrs. Nwosu picked on the second ring. My baby. The moment Amara heard her mother's voice, the tears came. Mommy, what happened? Amara tried to speak, but everything came out broken. The bottle, the messages, the scarf, the wedding whisper, the monthly shame. Mrs. Nwosu listened without interrupting. That was one thing Amara loved about her mother. She did not shout first. She collected the facts, like a judge collecting evidence. When Amara finished, there was silence. Then Mrs. Nwosu said, Where is Kelechi? He is here. Put the phone on speaker. Amara did. Kelechi came closer, uneasy. Mrs. Nwosu's voice was calm, too calm. Kelechi, good morning. Good morning, ma. My daughter says your mother gave her something to drink. Yes, ma, but I threw it away. Good. She also says someone sent a message about a scarf. Yes, ma, and your mother made a statement to her on your traditional wedding day. Kelechi swallowed. That is what Amara said. Mrs. Nwosu paused. What Amara said, or what happened? Kelechi closed his eyes. I don't know, ma. You don't know because you were not the one she whispered to. He said nothing. Mrs. Nwosu continued. I am not accusing your mother yet. But I will tell you something as a mother. When a woman is crying in marriage, and her husband's first instinct is to protect another woman's image, even if that woman gave birth to him, the wife becomes an orphan inside her own home. Kelechi looked at Amara. Her eyes were swollen. He looked ashamed. Mrs. Noosu said, "Ask your mother about the scarf." Not with anger, not with fear. Ask her. After the call ended, Kelechi sat quietly for a long time. Then he picked up his phone and called Mrs. Okafor. She answered cheerfully, "My son, Mama, good morning. My heart, how is my daughter?" Kelechi looked at Amara. "She is fine." "Good. Did she drink what I brought?" His eyes sharpened. "No." There was a tiny pause. "Why? We need to talk about that." Mrs. Okafor laughed softly. "About herbs? And about Amara's scarf." Silence. This silence was not tiny. It was wide. Kelechi stood slowly. "Mama, what scarf?" "The scarf Amara forgot in your house the first time she visited." Mrs. Okafor's voice changed by one small degree. If Kelechi had not been listening with his whole body, he might have missed it. "My son, how should I remember scarf from years ago? Did she leave it there?" "How would I know? Did you keep it?" Mrs. Okafor laughed, but the laugh came late. "Kelechi, what kind of question is that? Am I a dry cleaner?" Amara closed her eyes. Kelechi did not laugh. "Mama, someone sent Amara a message." "What message?" "A warning." Another pause. Then Mrs. Okafor's tone hardened. "So now strangers can send nonsense to your wife and you will call your mother like a suspect." "Mama, I'm just asking." "No, you are not asking. Your wife has started." Amara's head lifted. Mrs. Okafor continued, her voice rising. "I knew it. I knew the day would come when she would turn you against me. I carried you in my womb, Kelechi. I buried your father and raised you with my sweat and dignity. Now because of a woman who has not even given you a child, you are questioning me over scarf?" Kelechi flinched. Amara stared at him, praying he would hear it. "Not even given you a child." There it was. The wound again. Kelechi's voice became quiet. "Mama, why did you say that?" Mrs. Okafor stopped. "Said what?" "That she has not given me a child." "I said the truth." Amara turned away. Kelechi's grip tightened around the phone. "Mama, I will call you back." He ended the call before she could respond. For a long moment he stood there, breathing hard. Amara said nothing. She did not need to. Something had shifted. Not enough, but something. Later that day, Kelechi went to the office, but he did not work. He sat behind a glass desk on the 21st floor of Okafor Towers, staring at contracts without reading them. His assistant came in twice and left quickly, sensing the kind of mood money could not fix. At 4 p.m., his phone rang. Ifeoma. "Hello?" Her voice was low. "Kelechi, did you ask Mama about Amara's scarf?" He sat up. "How did you know?" Ifeoma exhaled. "So it has started." His heart began to pound. "What has started?" "Kelechi, listen to me carefully. I don't know everything, but before your wedding, I saw Mama with something that looked like Amara's scarf. I asked her about it. She said I should mind my business." Kelechi stood. "What are you saying?" "I am saying you should not dismiss your wife." "Why didn't you tell me?" "Because I was not sure. Because I was afraid. Because this family has a way of punishing people who speak too early." Kelechi walked to the window. Far below, cars moved like toys. Ifeoma's voice broke slightly. "There was a girl who worked in Mama's house then. Bisi. She left suddenly after your wedding. Mama said she stole money, but I never believed it." Kelechi's mouth went dry. "Bisi? Yes, if anybody knows something, it may be her." "Do you know where she is?" "No, but I can try to find out." Kelechi closed his eyes. The unknown message. "I saw it before I left that house." Before I left. BC. When he returned home that evening, Amara was sitting in the living room, phone in her hand, eyes red from crying or from not crying enough. Kelechi walked to her slowly. "I believe you," he said. She looked up. Those 3 words did not fix everything, but they opened a door. Before Amara could speak, her phone vibrated again. Same unknown number. This time the message was longer. "Madam, I am sorry. I kept quiet because I was afraid. Your scarf was not missing. Mama kept it. I saw her put it inside her wardrobe with your wedding invitation. I also heard her say, 'Your womb will beg.' My name is BC. Please don't tell her I contacted you. BC's confession did not bring peace. It brought a new kind of fear. The kind that comes when your suspicion stops being suspicion and becomes a name, a face, a witness. Amara read the message until the words blurred. My name is BC. Please don't tell her I contacted you. Kelechi took the phone from her carefully, as if it might explode. BC, he whispered. Amara's voice was small. Who is she? She used to work for Mama. The one Ifeoma mentioned. He nodded. Why did she leave? Kelechi hesitated. Mama said she stole money. Amara laughed bitterly. Of course. Amara, no. Of course she stole money. Everybody who knows too much always steals money in wicked families. Kelechi had no defense, because somewhere inside him he knew. Mrs. Okafor's household had always been too controlled for accidental scandals. Staff did not leave noisily. They disappeared quietly. A driver would be sent back to the village. A cook would misbehave. A cleaner would show bad character. And Mrs. Okafor's version of events became the family record, because nobody asked too many questions. Until now. Kelechi called BC's number again. This time it rang. Amara grabbed his arm. Put it on speaker. He did. The call connected, but nobody spoke. Hello? Kelechi said. Silence. Then a young woman's voice came, trembling. Sir? BC? The line went quiet again, except for faint background noise. Traffic. People talking. A generator somewhere. Yes, sir. It's Kelechi. I know, sir. Amara leaned closer. Kelechi softened his voice. BC, you sent messages to my wife. I'm sorry, sir. Please don't be angry. I did not want to scatter your home. Then why did you send them? The girl inhaled shakily. Because I saw Madame brought something to your house today. I was afraid your wife would drink it. Kelechi's eyes met Amara's. How did you know she brought something? My cousin works with the driver who took Madame to the airport last month. He told me Madame has been asking questions about women who are looking for children. I have been worried since. Amara's skin went cold. Kelechi asked, Where are you? BC hesitated. Sir, I don't want trouble. I won't give you trouble. Mama will. The way she said Mama made it clear she still feared Mrs. Okafor, as if she were standing beside her. Amara moved closer to the phone. BC, it's Amara. The girl went silent. Please, Amara said, her voice breaking. I need to know what you saw. BC sniffed. Madam, I'm sorry. For what? I should have told you before. Amara closed her eyes. Tell me now. There was a long pause. Then BC began. She had been 19 when she started working for Mrs. Okafor. Her uncle's wife had recommended her. The job was good. The pay was fair. The house was comfortable. Mrs. Okafor was strict but not careless with money. She paid salaries on time, gave clothes during Christmas, and allowed staff to eat good food from the house, as long as they did not forget their place. At first, BC liked her. She was not shouting all the time, BC said, but everybody feared her. The way she would look at you, you would confess something you did not do. Amara listened without moving. BC continued, The first day you came, Ma, I remember, you wore a peach scarf. After you people left, I saw it on the side chair in the sitting room. I wanted to give it to Auntie Ify because she was still around, but Madame collected it from me. Amara's nails dug into her palm. She said what? She said leave it. I will handle it. Kelechi asked. And then? I forgot about it. But after some days, I entered her room to clean. I saw the scarf inside her wardrobe. It was not with normal clothes. It was inside nylon with one paper. I did not touch it. What paper? I don't know, sir. Amara's voice trembled. Was it my name? I don't know, Ma. I did not see well. BC paused. Then before your traditional wedding, Madame traveled one afternoon. She told driver she was going to women's fellowship, but she did not allow the driver to take her inside. She came back late. That night, I heard her talking on the phone. She said it is done. Then she said good. Let her dance first. Kelechi sat down slowly. BC's voice dropped. On the wedding night, when Madame came back to Enugu, I was throwing dirty water behind the kitchen. Her window was open. I heard her talking to herself. She said, My son will enjoy his wife, but she will never enjoy my son's child. Amara covered her mouth. A sound escaped her, not quite a cry, not quite a scream. Kelechi stood immediately and tried to hold her, but she stepped away. No, she whispered. He froze. BC was crying now. I was afraid. I told Auntie Ify small, but not everything. I did not want to be involved. Later, Madam caught me near her wardrobe. I was not stealing, I was cleaning, but she said I took dollars from her drawer. Sir, I did not steal. She sent me away that evening. Kelechi closed his eyes. His mother had not only hidden something, she had destroyed a girl's name to protect it. BC, he said, voice rough. Why didn't you come to me? Sir, who would believe house girl over mother? Nobody answered. Because the question had too much truth. The wealthy loved to say the poor lied for money. The powerful loved to say the powerless exaggerated. Even now, even with everything happening, BC still sounded afraid that her truth would be treated like blackmail. Amara finally spoke. BC, do you know where the scarf is now? No, ma, but I know Madam kept one black pouch inside her wardrobe. Bottom drawer, under wrappers. I saw it before I left. What was inside? I don't know, but she used to check it sometimes, and anytime she checked it, she would be angry after. Kelechi's voice became firm. BC, I need to see you. No, sir. Please, just to talk. If Madame knows, I'm finished. She won't know. You don't know Madame. Kelechi looked at Amara. He realized then that many people had been living under his mother's shadow while he enjoyed her love as a son. To him, she was strict, dramatic, sometimes controlling. To others, she was a woman who could close doors, ruin reputations, and still attend Thanksgiving service the next Sunday in white lace. Okay, he said gently, we won't force you, but please don't change your number. I won't, sir. The call ended. The apartment became silent. Not peaceful. Silent like a courtroom after a guilty verdict. Amara walked to the window and looked out at the water. Kelechi stood behind her, not touching her. I'm sorry, he said. She laughed softly. The sound was tired. Do you know what hurts me most? He swallowed. What? I have been praying against myself. He closed his eyes. I have cried in bathrooms, blamed my body, counted dates, swallowed vitamins, endured your aunties touching my stomach, sat in front of doctors, felt ashamed every month. And all this time, the person calling me my daughter was the one laughing. Kelechi's voice broke. Amara, she hated me because of a kitchen. It is madness. No. Amara turned to him. It is wickedness. He nodded slowly. Yes. That was the first time he used the word. Wickedness. Not misunderstanding. Not family tension. Not mama being mama. Wickedness. Later that night, Ifeoma came over. She arrived without makeup, wearing a simple designer tracksuit and a face full of fear. The moment Amara opened the door, Ifeoma hugged her tightly. I am sorry, Ifeoma whispered. Amara did not hug her back at first. Then slowly, her hands lifted. Inside the living room, Kelechi played BC's voice note. After the call, BC had sent one because she said she wanted proof if anything happened to her. Her voice filled the room again, repeating the story. Ifeoma sat with her hands over her mouth. When it ended, she whispered, God. Kelechi turned to her. You suspected. I suspected Mama still had anger. I did not know this. You saw her with the scarf. Yes. And you said nothing. Ifeoma flinched. Amara looked at her. Ifeoma's eyes filled with tears. I was afraid of destroying the wedding. I told myself maybe it was nothing. Maybe I was reading too much meaning. Maybe because I know Mama, I was imagining things. She faced Amara fully. I failed you. Amara's face tightened. For a moment, the room waited to see what kind of woman pain would make her. Then Amara said quietly, You did. Ifeoma bowed her head. But you are here now, Amara added. Ifeoma started crying. Kelechi sat forward. What do we do? Ifeoma wiped her face. You cannot confront Mama yet. Amara turned sharply. Why? Because she will deny everything. She will cry, she will call relatives. She will say Amara is poisoning your mind. By tomorrow morning, the whole family will hear that your wife accused your mother of witchcraft because she cannot conceive. Amara's jaw clenched. Ifeoma continued. Mama knows how to become the victim before anybody understands the crime. Kelechi knew she was right. So what do we do? He asked again. Ifeoma took a breath. We need evidence. Amara looked at her. The black pouch? Ifeoma nodded. It may still be in her wardrobe. Mama does not throw away things she believes give her power. Kelechi stood. I'll go to Enugu tomorrow. No, Ifeoma said immediately. He looked at her. Why not? Because if you arrive angry, she will know. If you ask to enter her room, she will know. If you search, she will know. Amara's voice was low. Then who can enter? Ifeoma looked uncomfortable. I can. Kelechi shook his head. No. I visit her every week. I can enter her room without raising suspicion. No. Kelechi, I am the only one who can do it. Amara watched them. A strange thought came to her. Mrs. Okafor had created this darkness from a kitchen. Maybe the truth would also have to come from inside her house, through someone she underestimated. Before anyone could speak again, Amara's phone rang. Unknown number. Not BC's number. A different one. She answered slowly and put it on speaker. For 3 seconds, there was only breathing. Then an old woman's voice said, If you want your womb opened, stop searching wardrobe and go to the place where the padlock was buried. Amara's blood turned cold. Kelechi grabbed the phone. Who is this? The woman laughed softly. Ask your mother what she locked. Ask her where she buried the key. The line went dead. Comment part 2.